All right, well, welcome everybody. This is our first time to try and do a workshop on Zoom for the KIB Indy Art Seek project. My name is Julia Moore. I'm the Director of Public Art at the Arts Council of Indianapolis, and we are one of the project's hosts. Just a couple of notes. Everybody is set to mute. And the only people that will be unmuted are myself and Alejandra Lagunas, who will co-present this workshop with me. If you have anything to ask, please use the chat box on Zoom and ask your question. We have people standing by who will answer that question. If you don't get your question answered, we'll look at the questions and we will answer them on the Facebook page. We're also recording this workshop and we'll make it available for people to watch on demand. Hopefully it will be edited a little bit. And with that, I think we're just going to go ahead and start. So I'm going to throw it over to Alejandra, who's going to start with us.
So hello everyone, thank you for being here today. So I just wanted to talk about today's agenda. We're going to be talking about what a little bit of the project overview, where will it happen, the geography of the project, who is involved in the project, what is an intervention, some of the community implications and collaborators, and what to expect when working with an artist. As well as we are going to be sharing a little bit of the timeline and see where the next steps from then on. So what is Indy Art Seek? So Indy Art Seek is a project. It's an engaging and accessible public art project that was designed to give voice in creating public art for all Indianapolis residents, particularly in neighborhoods that have been traditionally underserved in art, culture, and green infrastructure. So the project itself is going to happen. The project itself is going to happen within a limited area in Indianapolis. The project itself is going to be 100. We are hoping to have 106 art interventions, 100 art interventions, and 6 large installations of this little fun and engageable public art projects. The project also it's going to be super fun because it involves a mobile app. So we're going to be engaging with a mobile app. That's kind of like the Seek portion of Indy Art Seek. Users are going to be able to download this app and go and find all this art around town. So, as I mentioned before, where will it happen? So, on the comment, the next slide is to show you a little bit of where this project will take place. Like I said before, so we are particularly focusing in neighborhoods that have been underserved in culture, green infrastructure, and art. Neighborhoods who follow some of the following categories, which are neighborhoods that are 50% of more population of color, neighborhoods that have below the household, the Marion County household income of 41K, and neighborhoods who have been underrepresented in art, culture, and green infrastructure again. So last year, we were fortunate enough to launch the project and to launch the pilot project. So last year, we selected 12 artists to participate on the pilot project and see, and so that mainly so that we could have a better understanding of what the needs of the communities were, and to see how what the process of working with an artist and with the community will mean. So last year we were able to have um, 10 installed projects. So there's as of right now there's 10 ready to view and installed projects around the city. This map gives you a little bit of an idea of what parts of town these projects are taking place. So the green little pins represent all the interventions that were completed. The purple little pins shows the location of the large four of the six large projects are that are going to be representative in the project. And the red projects were in process, and we did not get a chance to change the color of this, but some of these three locations have been done already, and should be ready to view and display. So I'm gonna switch to Julia again. She's gonna talk to us about who is involved, how the partnership came about, and who are some of the main organizations running this project.
Okay. Thank you, Alejandra. So the people that are involved, the two project partners are Keep Indianapolis Beautiful and the Arts Council of Indianapolis. Those are representatives of each have been talking to you so far. Our funder is the Lilly Endowment. We received funding for this project as part of the Strengthening Indianapolis through Arts and Culture grants that were distributed at the end of 2018. And so this project, we did the pilot phase in 2019, and we're going to continue it through the end of this year. We're also working with an app developer. The app developer is called AutoCast. We've been working with them. They have an existing platform, and we have been working with them to have a customized interface for the Indy Art Seek project. So eventually, you will have to download the AutoCast app, and then when you go to AutoCast, you'll see it right there. So let's talk a little bit about what an art intervention is. An art intervention is a temporary and small scale artwork. It could be a visual artwork, or it could be something a little bit more performative, so it could be an action. The main thing is that it responds to conditions that are found only at that place. So if you were to put it somewhere else, it'll look a little different, it'll feel a little different, and it'll mean a little different. And what we're looking at for the interventions for Art and Seek is that we want these small artworks to contribute to how people see a place. And if you look at the photograph that's on your screen, this is an example of a stencil which pretty much could be placed anywhere. But if you put it in conjunction with this piece of infrastructure that was found, it has an entirely new meaning. And then for people who understand the context of where this is located, which we don't know so far, then it can have an additional layer of meaning. So these are the kinds of things that we're hoping to do with the smaller artworks. Here are some examples of some interventions. You can see that they're not a really high build quality. They don't have a lot of materials. You don't need a foundation or anything like that. But by putting very small things into the environment, you start to change how people see the environment and see the things in that environment. You can do something like take a swing set that has all the swings gone and turn it into something completely different while still keeping that sense of play in the neighborhood. This is an intervention that was done in a restaurant that had an opening in an alley. And by just using a layer of paint, it completely transforms kind of a dark and out of the way place into something that where people really want to come. You can do things to try and take something that's ugly and make it beautiful. All of these interventions take the idea of holes or voids and then use the artist's work to create something completely new out of them. So the one on the left are potholes that are filled with mosaic tile. The The one on the top is filling a hole with some paint. The one on the bottom left is a project by a common name called Street Geodes, where they're taking voids and missing bricks and filling them in with something a little bit more beautiful. And then Rachel Sussman used a Japanese practice of mending cracks in pottery with gold and turning it into a street intervention using actual powdered gold. Some of the things that we've done in the past, Beatriz Vasquez was one of our pilot phase artists, and she worked in Christian Park and used her knowledge of Christian Park, because she used to go there with her kids, to update the picnic tables to reflect the fact that a lot of people who are immigrants are using the park. So she wanted to create a sense of welcome for these people and use the metaphor of butterflies and calling them immigrants too, to make people feel a little bit more welcome. And this is, after engaging with the Christian Park neighborhood, this was the intervention that she felt was going to be the most welcome and most needed. None of these are in Indianapolis, but these are really cool traffic signal box artworks that different artists around the country have done. This is something that we can offer if an artist wants to do this in your neighborhood. The Arts Council manages this traffic signal box art program on behalf of the city, so it'd be really easy for us to work with the artist and the community to make this happen. Another project that we did in the pilot phase was called Hawville Butterflies, and we used Charles Shane Stanley, who lives in Hawville, as the artist, and he worked with students and the community around School 63 to paint butterflies. He did the black stencil for butterflies on the sidewalks around the school, and then had students come in and paint them in colors, and they came out really great. He also did some hidden butterflies that only come out when it rains. If you want to see that, this will be available, and we'll provide the link to that video. We did a test, and that video does not come out very well, so we're just going to leave it, but we'll give you the link so you can see that video on your own. Other possibilities in this, using this kind of work, you can use things that actually don't put anything down, but you can use a power washer and a scrubber and take things away and create imaging. We might see something using some hydrophobic spray to, in the example on the right, someone did a hopscotch game that you can only play when it rains, because when it's light out or when it's sunny out, the game disappears. So that's a way to get people to enjoy the rain. And different artists can look at the same piece of infrastructure and see it in different ways. These are two examples of two different artists using the feature of an empty basketball net, and Spy, who is a Spanish artist, put a plant in it, and Jeremy John Kaplan, who lives in Brooklyn, New York, goes around the city and replaces the nets with new nets made out of gold, and he makes it into a performance. He always wears the same outfit, and then he tracks where he has them on his website, so you can find him and see. So that's a way to connect the different neighborhoods to each other through the same project. Here's another example of an artist who decided to provide something that people can interact with. And this is something called a public punching bag that the artist decided to provide for people to take their frustrations out with. And it's really funny. Here's another one of our pilot interventions. This is Philip Campbell, who did a project at the corner of 10th and Rural. This location is pretty much across the street from where he lives. And it's a location, if you know that neighborhood, where four neighborhoods come together at one point. And he wanted to do something to express the unity of these neighborhoods, these four neighborhoods on the Near East Side. So he put out a call for a solicitation of fabric that people could donate. and he set donation boxes around the neighborhood. And then he took the fabric and then some fabric that he had already and created this flag out of it, and then placed it right there on the corner where Near East Area Renewal is, and that's him in the center in the near offices getting ready to install it. And again, this was a project that doesn't take a lot of material and doesn't take a whole lot of time, but really transforms the neighborhood when it's up. You know, this wasn't done here. This is another project that was done that the artist decided that the neighborhood needed a way for everybody to come together and be more social. So he had people donate furniture and create a communal living room for a temporary period of time. And then the community liked it and kept having meetings and discussions in that new living room. A simple stencil can completely change your perception of an area. This is a simple crosswalk that takes on a kind of a horrific new meaning. We're looking to integrate all kinds of art forms, so not just visual art. Here are a couple of projects that use words and texts and poetry as interventions to have people kind of read their neighborhood and learn some things about it. We're very much interested in the idea of like produced video. This was something from our pilot phase. Eduardo Luna and Christopher Dance created a video that introduced people to their Hawthorne neighborhood and kind of addressed a community problem, which is the trash in Hawthorne Park, and used it as a way to comment on the Mexican identity of people that live around the park and to help flip people's perceptions in a different way. And we'll provide a link to that video as well. So we're really looking at dance, we're looking at theater, we're looking at anything that can be done in a particular location in conjunction between the artist and the community. Here are examples of some interventions that were done in different locations. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to have Alejandra pop in here.
You guys have seen a little bit of the promotional kind of activities that we have been doing for recruiting artists. We just finalized some of the recruitment. We already had sent notifications to some of the artists who showed interest on participating on the project. So now this is mainly recruiting communities so that we can partner them now with an artist to continue the engagement process. So what is expected as of right now? So communities are expected to submit a community interest form. That interest form is located on our website, indyartandseek.org. There's a little tab that says apply as a community. You are welcome to visit our website and request an artist an art intervention. So the application is pretty simple. It just asks you a few questions. Nothing you don't. It's not very extensive. It's super easy to fill out, and there's also an interactive map that you can see just to make sure that your neighborhood or the area that you live in falls within the limits or parameters of the project. So after you do submit your application and see that you do qualify to host one of these art interventions, you will be partnered with a community-based artist. Like I said, we already went through the selection process. We already have the artists who have been selected and they have been notified. Right now we're just waiting for their confirmation so that they confirm that they still are interested in participating. So after this confirmation it's finalized, we'll partner you with a community-based artist. We are really hoping that this community-based artists are from the area that you are applying from, and that they have a very a good sense of what the neighborhood is, and they have a well connection with the community. So the artist engagement will probably have a maximum of 2 meetings with an artist. I know that some communities have different processes, and but we are hoping that these meetings take about 3 hours or less. The artists are not getting paid very much for this art interventions, but we want to make sure also that we don't that we do continue with the community engagement, and that this is just not doing a piece of art in a location just because the artist felt like doing it. We really want the input from the community. We want to make sure that the artist listens to what the community the community's vision and what they expect from this project. After those meetings take place, we are hoping to for the artists to go back home and just kind of like follow their whatever process they follow, so they can start developing a concept and present that to the community. So hopefully that just a little description of how the process would work and what to expect moving forward if you do apply to host one of these interventions. Another main aspect of the project is that when we are looking for locations within your neighborhood, or that you have an idea of where you may think, oh, I want to do this in the corner of street and street. So just keep in mind that this we really need for this project to have public access, so that whenever we launch the smartphone app, people are able to access this place without having to like go into private property, or like a fence, or a location that it's closed after 6 o'clock. So public access is a very important part of this project, not only so that the public can do it, but also the neighbors can be engaged and can go interact with the projects. And this gives I think this is also really important because a lot of communities have a perception of other communities, so it would be a really good way to have other neighbors or other neighborhoods come and discover new neighborhoods, and discover these neighborhoods through art. What else can happen? Well, you can also expect engagement from other organizations within your community. I know that there's some areas that we have received applications from the community organizations, such as just a local business or a community group, or just like a neighbor that was interested in submitting an application. But we're gonna try to incorporate everybody and try to do a holistic project.
Okay. So, I could take this.
Okay.
So we've already gone through, as Alejandra mentioned, we've already gone through and selected the artists, and they've been notified. Right now, where we are is we are accepting community applications. So this is where you come in. We would like to have all the applications in by April 1st, as much as possible. If we understand that things are kind of happening on a weird schedule right now. If they come in a little bit after, that's okay. But we're going to start our kickoff. We've actually already moved our kickoff between the artists and the communities to the end of April. So you'll be invited, once there's a match made, to a big meeting where everyone kind of gets together. You meet your match. We all kind of go over together what happens next. And then we start talking about, okay, how are you and the artist going to interact? What do you expect of them? What do they expect of you? And making sure that those projects happen together on a schedule. The main thing that to notice is that we want all of the projects installed or performed before August 1st. Some of the artists are performing artists and they may be performing more than once, but we would like to have at least one of them performed before August 1st because we're trying to launch the app on September 1st and we have to have pictures and videos. The artists also record a little audio file talking about the work. So we want to have all of that done before the middle of August so we can launch the app in the 1st of September. So that's our timeline for the project.
Thank you for the timeline, Julia. As you know, we are in a very strange timeline at the moment. So those were just kind of like guesstimated times. Things might change, and we are okay with adapting to the timeline. But that's our goal, to stay within that timeline, and hopefully we'll be able to do it. Going forward, if how can my community participate? As mentioned before, is if the medium income of your neighborhood is below the 2017 Marion County of $40,334, you qualify. If you are willing to have an artist actively engage with you and the neighbors, with your organization, you qualify. If your neighborhood is within the area, the Art and Seek boundary area, you qualify. And again, to find if you do follow into this area, go to indyartandseek.org and click on the Apply as a Community tab, and you'll be able to navigate within that interactive map that has the boundary. It's just like a regular Google map that you can go zoom in and zoom out and just kind of find your neighborhood, find the location that you are interested in hosting this art intervention. So and you do qualify if you fit this category. If your neighborhood has been traditionally underserved in arts, culture, and green infrastructure, you qualify. And we try to and this is the basis of the project. We are trying to bring art. We're trying to bring art activities and neighborhoods that have been underserved in these circumstances.
So if you want to go ahead and apply, first thing to do is go to indyartandseek.org and then you can click on the Apply as a Community tab. So on this tab, just make sure that your community is within the project boundary. Take a look at what the project is about and submit the application. It's really simple. It'll probably take you about 5 minutes. The more information that you give, the more prepared we'll be able to be to provide you with an artist that's going to be just your perfect match. And really anyone can apply. You don't have to be an official neighborhood organization. You can be, but you can also be a school, a business, a church, a block captain, a volunteer. We've had we had Crown Hill Cemetery apply, which is really cool. Hopefully we'll have an intervention there. So really, as long as you're within that boundary, your neighborhood may have already applied. If so, we'll make sure that we connect everyone together so that everyone's moving together to host an artist. But I think everyone has that opportunity to figure out where an artwork can be and how it can enhance your neighborhood. That's pretty much all of the prepared material that we had. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat box. We do have some people who are watching right now and who will be able to answer your questions. Is there, let's see, I don't think there's anyone I can unmute, but actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everybody. And if anyone has any immediate questions or comments, please go ahead and ask.
I do want to say, Julia, that one of the big questions that we always get from communities are is the scale of this project. As you went through your presentation, I just wanted to highlight again that these interventions are meant to be small, temporary interventions that speak to a place or physical element in the environment. Just wanted to highlight that again
Yes.
because a lot of communities come to us and they say, "Oh, can I do a big 10 by 10 mural? Or can I do a 20 by 20 sculpture in this site?" And the answer to that is no. Um, just just because we have limited resources for each of the artists that were selected, and we also this this is what an intervention, like Julia mentioned before, the intervention is meant to be small, temporary, fine. We are thinking 2 by 2, like if you are able to fit it within the 2 by 2 box, that would be like the ideal perfect size for it.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments now that people are unmuted? Well, thank you very much. This is all that we have. We're going to make this a recording, and hopefully we'll edit all the ums and ers out of it. And if you have any questions, we will make sure that when we post it, we'll give a link to someone a human that can ask any questions that may not have been answered in the video.